Ever feel like you're bombarded with fitness advice? Like everyone's got the secret to getting in shape.
Right, you see all these workouts popping up, and honestly, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, and then boxing comes along, promising amazing results. But where do you even start? We've got a guide that claims to have the answers. Boxing Fitness, a guide to getting fighting fit by Ian Oliver.
Interesting.
It was first published back in 2004, with this edition from 2005, so it's been around for a while. It promises a whole system for achieving complete boxing fitness. And in this deep dive, we're going to break it down.
Sounds good.
Give you the key takeaways so you know exactly what it takes to get fighting fit without having to read the whole thing right now.
Like a cheat sheet, I like it.
Exactly. Now, this isn't just some random internet workout plan. The author, Ian Oliver, is a strength and conditioning professional at Bob Breen's Academy of Martial Arts in London.
Okay, so he knows his stuff then.
You bet. And when you look at the table of contents, you realize this guide goes deep. I mean, it covers everything from basic punching techniques to advanced training methods like plyometrics.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. We're talking bag work, focus pad training, specific drills for speed and power, skipping, running, even different running techniques like interval training and fartlek.
Fartlek.
Yeah, it's this kind of running where you vary your speed and intensity.
Oh, interesting.
And it's not just about cardio. There's a lot on strength training, too, why it's important for boxing, how to choose between machines and free weights, even sample workouts for all-around fitness, and for people who have trouble gaining muscle.
So it caters to different needs.
Absolutely. And there's also stuff on calisthenics, bodyweight exercises, and core training, which is crucial for generating power in your punches. They even use tools like exercise balls and medicine balls.
It sounds pretty well-rounded.
Oh, it is. There are also sections on circuit training, both circular and linear formats, training with a partner, and even a detailed solo workout routine that you can do without a partner. And if you're ready to really push your limits, there's a whole section on advanced training, which covers things like intense weightlifting, plyometrics for explosive power, breathing techniques, and training for speed safely.
So there's something for everyone, from beginners to more advanced athletes.
Exactly. And of course, there's a section on flexibility and stretching, which is so important for preventing injuries. They talk about different types of stretching, ballistic, developmental, and even give examples like hamstring stretches.
Right, gotta stay limber.
Totally. And you can't forget about the equipment, right? The guide covers everything from bag mitts and focus pads to hand wraps, sparring gloves, mouth guards, even how to wrap your hands correctly.
That's something I always struggled with when I first started boxing.
Yeah, it can be tricky. They even go over what to keep in your training bag.
Practical tips.
Oh, and nutrition is a big part of it, too. They talk about the importance of carbs, protein, fats, water, vitamins, minerals, even supplements like creatine, and when to eat certain things for optimal performance.
So it's really a holistic approach to boxing fitness.
It really is. They even cover injury and illness, basic first aid, how to train sensibly, knowing the difference between a minor strain and something more serious. And they briefly touch on insurance and things to consider if you're older and starting training.
It was like a complete package.
Absolutely. So our goal in this deep dive is to give you the essence of this guide. By the end, you'll have a solid understanding of the core principles and practical advice offered by Ian Oliver, so you can apply what's most relevant to your own fitness journey.
Sounds great. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Throw in a good punch. What are some of the key takeaways from the guide?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me is the emphasis on the kinetic chain.
Kinetic chain.
Yeah, it means that a punch isn't just about your arm. It starts from the ground up, from your feet.
Ah, I see.
It's about using your whole body to generate power. So you need a solid stance, fluid footwork. The guide even compares it to being a ballroom dancer.
That's a cool analogy.
Right. You need that balance and agility. And then for each type of punch, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, they break down the technique in detail. How to transfer your weight, rotate your torso, make sure your fist is aligned correctly on impact. It's all about generating power efficiently and safely.
And making sure you don't hurt yourself in the process.
Exactly. They even talk about something that seems basic, but a lot of beginners get wrong, making a proper fist.
Oh, yeah, I remember struggling with that.
Right. They provide step-by-step instructions to make sure you have a tight, secure grip inside the glove, which is essential for protecting your wrists and thumbs from injury.
It's those little details that can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Once you've got the technique down, It's time to move on to bag work.
Okay, so what's the key to effective bag work?
Well, the guide talks about different types of bags, heavy bags, speed bags, body snatcher bags, but the main point is to use your imagination. Don't just mindlessly hit the bag. Visualize an opponent, think about your range, and practice punching through the bag, not just at it. It's about developing power and timing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And they also give practical tips for setting up a bag at home.
Yeah, like making sure it's mounted securely so you don't damage your ceiling or wall.
Right. And being mindful of the noise if you're in an apartment.
Now, another key element of boxing training is focus pad training.
And this is where you work with a partner, right?
Exactly. The guide provides lots of different combinations you can practice, from basic to advanced, and they emphasize the importance of having a partner who knows how to hold the pads correctly and can give you good feedback.
Because they're basically acting as a moving target.
Right. It helps you work on your accuracy, timing, and reflexes. And speaking of specific drills, they also talk about this drill called heavy hands.
Heavy hands.
Yeah, you basically shadow box with light weights in your hands, like small dumbbells or even stones.
It sounds tough.
It is. But it's not about building bulk. It's about improving the speed and endurance of your punching muscles. They also talk about box jumps, which are great for developing explosive leg power.
Which is important for generating force in your punches.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about cardio. The guide dedicates a lot of space to skipping. Why is that?
Well, it might seem like a simple exercise, but skipping is incredibly beneficial for boxing. It improves your coordination, footwork, agility. Remember that tough ballroom dancer analogy. And it also works both your aerobic and anaerobic systems, depending on how you do it. Plus, it strengthens your ankle joints, builds leg power and endurance, and even helps with muscle tone and fat burning.
So it's a full body workout in itself.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they even give tips on choosing the right rope, skipping on the right surface, and wearing supportive shoes.
Now, along with skipping, running is another central part of boxing training.
Absolutely. Running builds the stamina you need to go multiple rounds. And the guide stresses the importance of starting slowly and gradually increasing your distance to avoid injuries.
Which is important for any type of running, really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They also talk about investing in good running shoes. Your feet take a beating, so you need to protect them.
And they cover things like safety tips, especially for women, choosing the right time to run, and whether a treadmill is a good alternative to running outdoors.
And they have a really balanced perspective on treadmills. They acknowledge the convenience and controlled environment, which can be good for beginners or people recovering from injuries.
Right.
But they also point out that running outdoors has its own benefits, both physically and mentally. Running on different terrain challenges your muscles in different ways, and being out in nature can be good for your mood.
Totally.
And they also cover more advanced running techniques like interval training and fartlek training, which help you develop the specific type of fitness you need for boxing.
Now, let's move on to strength training. Some people still think that lifting weights will make you stiff and slow, but the guide seems to disagree.
Oh yeah, they're big proponents of strength training for boxing. They argue that it helps build overall strength, muscular endurance, which is crucial for maintaining power throughout a fight, and even burns calories and strengthens your bones.
So it's not just about bulking up.
Not at all. They specifically address that myth of getting muscle-bound, explaining that a smart strength training program designed for boxing will actually improve your performance, not hinder it.
So what's their take on machines versus free weights?
Well, they acknowledge that machines can be good for beginners because they guide your movements,
Yeah.
but they ultimately recommend free weights because they engage more muscles and help develop better core strength and functional power, which is more relevant to boxing.
And they provide actual workout routines, right?
They do. They have an all-body workout that focuses on compound movements. Those are exercises that work multiple muscle groups at the same time, and a more intense workout for people who have trouble gaining muscle.
That's great. So they give you the tools to actually implement the advice.
Exactly. And what's important to note is that they stress proper form and technique over lifting heavy weights. It's about quality over quantity.
And they also emphasize the importance of rest and recovery.
Yes, absolutely. And along with traditional weightlifting, they're also big fans of calisthenics.
You mean bodyweight exercises?
Yeah, things like push-ups, pull-ups, squats. They're great for building functional strength and endurance that directly translates to boxing movements.
And they also talk about core training.
Oh yeah, they dedicate a whole section to it. They emphasize that a strong core is essential for both generating power and absorbing punches. They recommend using tools like the exercise ball, medicine ball, and power wheel for core exercises.
So it's not just about doing crunches.
Not at all. It's about engaging your entire core in a variety of ways. Now, the guide also talks about circuit training, which is a great way to combine strength, endurance, and skill work into a single workout.
And they outline both circular and linear circuit formats, right?
Yeah, circular circuits involve moving from one exercise to the next with minimal rest, while linear circuits involve doing all sets of one exercise before moving on to the next.
And they also provide drills for training with a partner, like circling the pad for improving footwork and reaction time.
Right. But they also recognize that not everyone has a training partner, so they offer that very detailed solo training workout. It's a 29-step routine that incorporates all the elements we've talked about, from skipping and shadow boxing to heavy bag work, bodyweight exercises, and stretching.
So you can have a really comprehensive boxing workout even if you're training alone.
Absolutely. And if you want to take your training to the next level, they have a section on advanced training.
What kind of stuff is covered in that section?
Well, it covers more advanced weightlifting techniques, heavier lifts, more complex exercises. It also goes into detail about plyometrics, which are those explosive exercises like jump squats and medicine ball throws.
Those are great for developing power.
Exactly. And they also talk about breathing techniques, how to breathe properly during intense exercise, and the importance of safety, especially when lifting heavy weights. They even provide a sample advanced workout with exercises like the bench press, incline barbell press, and leg press.
So it's geared towards people who already have a solid foundation of strength and fitness.
Exactly. But no matter what your level, flexibility and stretching are essential.
And the guide really emphasizes that one.
Hey, oh yeah. They talk about how stretching helps improve your performance and prevent injuries. They distinguish between warming up and cooling down, and they explain different types of stretching, ballistic, developmental.
And they warn against the potential dangers of ballistic stretching if it's not done correctly.
Right, it's important to be careful. And it's good that they also touch on alternative training methods like swimming and aerobic classes.
Because those can provide a different type of challenge and work different muscles.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about equipment. What are some of the key things they recommend?
Well, they go over different types of bag mitts, focus pads, hand wraps. Those are all essential for protecting your hands during training.
And they stress that hand wraps are non-negotiable.
Definitely. They provide detailed instructions on how to wrap your hands correctly, which is so important for beginners.
Right, because you don't want to end up with a wrist injury.
Exactly. They also talk about sparring gloves, which are heavier than regular bag gloves to protect both you and your partner, and other essentials like a mouth guard and groin guard. And they even give advice on what type of shoes to wear and what you should generally keep in your training bag.
So they cover all the practical aspects of gearing up for boxing.
They really do. And of course, we can't forget about nutrition.
Right, because you can't out-train a bad diet.
Exactly. The guide emphasizes that nutrition is key for fueling your workouts and recovering properly. They break down the different macronutrients, carbs, protein, fats, and explain the role of each one.
And they talk about the importance of hydration, vitamins, and minerals.
Yes. And they even get into supplements like creatine and when to use things like sports drinks and energy bars. They provide a lot of practical advice on what to eat and when to eat it for optimal performance.
So it's not just about cutting calories or following a fad diet. It's about nourishing your body with the right nutrients.
Exactly. And the final chapter addresses the realities of injury and illness.
Which are bound to happen at some point, especially with a physically demanding sport like boxing.
Right. They provide basic first aid advice using the RICE-8 protocol: rest, ice, compression, elevation for minor injuries.
Which is good to know.
Definitely. And they stress the importance of listening to your body, training sensibly, and knowing the difference between a minor strain and something more serious that needs medical attention.
They also talk about the importance of rest when you're sick.
Yes. And they briefly mentioned the value of having insurance and things to consider if you're older and starting training.
So it's a very comprehensive and responsible approach to boxing fitness.
It really is.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
And it's clear that this guide is packed with information.
Tons of it.
But the main takeaway for you, the listener, is that boxing fitness is not just about throwing punches.
Right.
It's a holistic discipline that involves everything from technique and conditioning to strength training, flexibility, nutrition, and injury prevention.
Absolutely.
It's about developing your physical and mental strength,
Yeah.
your coordination, your agility, your stamina.
And it's about pushing your limits while also respecting your body's needs.
Exactly. And what we've tried to do in this deep dive is give you a taste of what this guide
A
offers,
good overview.
so you can decide if it's something you want to explore further.
And hopefully spark some interest in boxing fitness.
Now, we only scratched the surface of what's in the guide,
There's a lot more detail in there.
so we encourage you to check it out if you're interested. But even if you don't, we hope this deep dive is giving you a better understanding of what it takes to get fighting fit.
And maybe inspired you to try something new.
Now, as we wrap up, here's something to think about. This guide is very focused on boxing, but a lot of the principles it outlines, things like building strength, improving coordination, prioritizing recovery, those are relevant to any type of fitness.
Absolutely.
So even if you're not interested in boxing, you can still take away some valuable lessons from this guide. And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire you to step into the ring someday.
You never know.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay strong, stay healthy, and keep exploring the world of fitness.
Take care.